If you can't see, I am very tired. I had a dream last night that I was a car muffler. Yeah, I woke up exhausted. Boom. I'm ready to talk about strength. How about you? Look at these two guys. They're going to face off. I'm looking forward to today's lesson because what we're going to do is look at both of our favorite poets from the Harlem Renaissance, compare them. Get ready. Today, you will analyze a prompt using the cube strategy. You will also prepare for a literary analysis essay by writing a thesis statement and collecting supporting evidence. Mr. Faber, I got an essay to write today? No. No. Mr. Faber, I got an essay to write tomorrow? No. Next day? No. No, 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 no. Just push pause. We're not actually writing the entire essay today or in the near future, but I do want you to prepare for it by writing a thesis and collecting evidence. The reason is we will be writing an essay once we introduce one further text, but I want you to have all of your evidence identified right now. So there will be one in the future. You'll probably change your thesis a little bit, but I want you to get a feel for how this works. And it's important to know how to write a good thesis statement before you write an essay. So what do I need today? You need The Negro Speaks of Rivers by Langston Hughes and America by Claude McKay and your essay prep worksheet. This little guy right here. Ooh, can you read it? That's it. Okay, essay prep worksheet, lesson 6. Let's get started. By the way, if you did not have your materials set out, push pause, get them. All right, let's talk about Langston Hughes and Claude McKay here. I'm going to do my best with the little pen tool to try to annotate, but we have Langston Hughes and Claude McKay. Both wrote very different poems about the strength of African Americans. Write an essay analyzing how their perspectives differ and explain how the poets achieved this. So we're going to use the cube strategy on this. We're going to circle key information here. So what is key information? This is like information that gives us some background or some really important things. We're going to underline the action or question, like what are the actions we are supposed to do? What's my job in this prompt? And box clue words. These are words that you think it's telling you something, but you're not exactly sure what you're supposed to do with it. And we'll put a box around that. Eliminate unnecessary information. Gets crossed out. For this prompt, I didn't put any useless information in there. So there's nothing really to cross out on this one. Sometimes you get, especially in math, you'll get one of those problems that has some really lame words in there and they want you to cross things out because they don't matter. That's what it's for. But let's look here. So when I go through and I usually look for the action first, but we'll start with key information. So Langston Hughes and Claude McKay both wrote very different poems. Now, that's key information. We need to know that these are very different poems. Okay? And I'll circle poems too. That's key information. About the strength of African Americans. That also sounds like key information here. Write an essay analyzing how their perspectives differ and explain how the poets achieved this. What do you think? Let's look for underlines here. Underline the action or the question. What am I supposed to do here? What's the verb? Okay, I'm supposed to write an essay analyzing, so I have to analyze how their perspectives differ and explain. Oh, that's the other thing I have to do. I know I have to write. This is kind of like obvious. I'm going to write. But To analyze and explain. Okay. What is some other key information here? We talked about different poems, strength of African Americans, how their perspectives differ. Okay, so let's circle this. Perspectives differ, and explain how the poets achieved this. Their perspectives differ. How the poets achieved this? What does that mean? That sounds like a clue to me. How the poets achieved this. I'll have to think about what that means. Let's move on to the next one. You should have something like this right here. Okay, this should be about like what you have. Maybe yours is a little different. That's fine. As long as you understand the key things we have to do. So let's talk about this prompt really quick. The poems are different, no doubt, especially if you read over the content section. You get very different senses, but they both have to do with strength in one way or another. And if I'm not sure, I can definitely go back to my notes on both poems and look up the notes I have for strength. Write an essay analyzing their perspectives and explain how their perspectives differ and explain how the poets achieve this. Okay, so I can identify how their perspectives differ. Like, because I can just look at the content and see how they differ. How the poets achieve this? What do you think we're talking about? If this is content, let me see if I can write. That'll be a game changer. Oh yeah. Content. What might this be? How they achieved it? They achieved it through form. Not form. Form. See, I can write with a pen and it still doesn't change anything. I have terrible handwriting. Sorry, Mom. Content and form. So these are the formal issues that we're talking about here. This is like one of them uses similes and one of them uses allusion. Okay, so let's move on with the lesson. We're going to be completing this worksheet today, and on this worksheet we got to organize our thoughts, right? Like, I need to know what their perspectives are. So I have a space here for perspective. And I need to identify the poetic devices because this is how they did it. And I need to get evidence as well. So let's see if we can narrow these things down. Let's look at the Negro Speaks of Rivers. I want you to go back to your notes and I want you to fill in the poetic devices that were used for the Negro Speaks of Rivers, and I want you to put it right in this box. Okay? So push pause and go back there. Write down the major poetic devices used. Go back to your notes. Fill this in. Pause the video. Okay, now going back to that poem and your notes for the Negro Speaks of Rivers, we have the devices they used. What about the content, especially as it relates to the prompt? Because the prompt was about strength. Strength. What did Langston Hughes, the speaker in Langston Hughes' poem, what did the speaker have to say about strength? I want you to summarize his perspective on strength. Where does he get strength from? Pause the video here. Okay, so you've paused the video. I'm going to tell you what I think here for perspective, because I don't know, maybe you don't need help with this, maybe you do. But when I see Langston Hughes' poem, and he talks about strength, I see the Nile, and he's talking about, there's almost a sense of like pride and security in his strength. His strength is a sense of pride. He's like, I am strong and I'm proud of that. I am strong and I feel secure with that. I am strong and I'm enduring and I last forever. I'm eternal. I will never die. There's a confidence to it as well. Okay? That's the kind of thing we're looking for. What's the evidence of this? What's the evidence that there's pride, security, and strength? I'll give you one, okay? I think I might give you the hard one to find. I'll do this one. Let's talk about evidence that line from the Congo. You don't want to sit here, wow, You don't want to sit here and watch me write down that entire line. You should, though. You should write down the entire line if you can here. But he has this line about the Congo. And the Congo is such a strong and powerful river. And he says, I built my hut near the Congo and it lulled me to sleep. It'd be sort of like saying, I laid down on a lion and went peacefully to sleep. The lion is such a terrifying, powerful animal that if you're able to sleep on a lion, you are fearless. You are fearless, and that means you are probably more dangerous than a lion, which is why the lion doesn't mess with you. So to be able to like just build your hut near the Congo and have it lull you to sleep is a picture of the strength of the African American, of the African in general. All right, I want you to work on that second piece of evidence. Find another reference from the poem that talks about the strength. Pause the video here. All right, you found one of your own to go here, here, and I'm curious what you picked. But let's move on to Claude McKay's poem, America. Now go back to your notes, and I want you to look up what poetic devices did Claude McKay use. How did he achieve this effect in the poem? Go ahead and look up his poetic devices and put them here. Okay, pause the video. And you're back. I want you to do the same thing, like for perspective. What is his perspective on strength? Go back and look at some of your notes for America. There's a different kind of strength. There's a different kind of strength. Pause the video and write your ideas here, and we'll compare in a moment. Okay? Pause the video. So I think, in my perspective, what I see in Claude McKay's poem is this idea of strength from defiance, and the ability to control himself. He's able to control himself, and he's able to stand up defiantly. Like, he doesn't jeer, he doesn't hold malice. He's just sitting and waiting patiently, calmly, as this monster is attacking him. So there's a very different sense. There's a sense of pride in The Negro Speaks of Rivers, and there's a sense of like defiance in this other poem. So let's find evidence of this. I'm going to let you do both of these by yourself because we just talked about this poem. I'm sure you can find two references to strength or two interpretations of strength. And pause the video, come back when you're done. All right, let's move on to the next part of this. Okay, I want you to review really quick the prompt here. And I have a little thesis, kind of a fill-in-the-blank thesis. So our prompt is Langston Hughes and Claude McKay both wrote very different poems about the strength of African Americans. Write an essay analyzing how their perspectives differ, which we've done, we've labeled that, and explain how the poets achieved this. Oh, we did that already by talking about their poetic devices. So I'm going to put the pieces together here. While Hughes uses blank to express blank, McKay uses blank to show blank. This is a thesis that answers the question, what is their perspective and how did they achieve this? What do you think goes in this little box right here? Okay, this one. What goes here? Form or content. While Hughes uses blank to express. What goes here? Is this form or content? Wow. Sometimes I just put letters out of order just for the fun of it. Form, content. What goes in what box? Same thing here. Form or content. And here. Form or content. I want you to work on this thesis statement. Make it the most beautiful thesis statement you can come up with. And I want to see what you did. So look, you have your evidence. You have your thesis statement. Today you analyzed a prompt using the cube strategy. You prepared for a literary analysis essay by writing a thesis statement and collecting supporting evidence. Did good. You did good. I will see you on the other side. Bye-bye.